Okay, so welcome to everyone to this session. We are going to talk about Docker Init, this new feature of the Docker client. And we are going to see what we were doing before that, what we are doing with Docker Init, and what we can do in the future with this command. So my name is Angel Borroy. You can pronounce that as Angel Borroy, something like that. It's nice. And I'm a developer evangelist at Hyland. I'm also teaching in the university. I'm Docker community leader. So I'm really involved with open source containers and so on, mainly because of the products we are working that mainly you can heard of Alfresco or Nuxeo. So they are open source products related with the document management work. Apart from this, the main problem we are trying to address today, it's a matter of assets. So we need to create some assets for Docker to be run. And these assets are not only for developers, but also for the pipelines, for DevOps engineers, and also, why not, for the final users. So we are trying to solve this requirement today. This is like the agenda. So before Docker Init, we were just trying some experiments that we are going to present you, Python, Geoman, Docker-based. Then we got this Docker Init command with some default templates that we are going also to explore. And finally, we are going to present a sample approach for community templates. Not only templates provided by Docker, but also creating the templates for yourself. So the first one is before we have this Docker Init command, I'm going to explain you our use case. You can have your own case, but this is what we need to solve. So we are building a project that is composed by, we say, well-sized services. So they are not microservices at all, but they are well-sized services. So with this product, we are releasing the product with the time, so we have many different releases of the product, and also the services are not required on every deployment, so we need also to combine different services depending on the deployment, and also the product can be extended. So we need also to accept some external services that can be plugged or not to the deployment. So you can see all the different services, the UI that is mainly developed in Angular. We have our repository, that is developed with Java. We have transformation service, search service that are services that are developed by the Alfresco engineers. But we have also some other services that we are using to support the deployment, like the database. What's that? It's fire on the building?
Sure, it's not an emergency thing, isn't it?
Okay, no problem. So this is our starting scenario, right? So we have a lot of services, some services that we are developing, and some other services that we are using. So in fact, what we have is a lot of different choices. They are not countless, because they are limited by a number, but we have different releases, 6.0, 6.1, 7.1, 7.4. We have also some configuration because we can use different protocols, FTP or SMTP or many different protocols. We can also plug different services for transform, for search, for some other features. We are also supporting many different databases engines, Postgres, MariaDB, Oracle, many of them. And then we need also to accept extensions for the product. And these extensions are not only provided by the product itself, but we have also a community that is providing extensions, add-ons for the product. And we need also to support these custom extensions. And finally, we need also to support the development of the platform. So if you are developing on a service, then you need to deploy all the other parts. Not all the other parts, but some of all the other services of the platform. So this is like our initial situation. For that, we were creating some tools during the years before Docker Init was available. So the first one was developing Python, and we were just addressing the generation of these Docker assets on the pipelines, on the testing pipeline. So we are going to see that. After that, we found that in some use cases, we need also user interaction. So not only something that is that can be created in an automated way, but also the user just saying, okay, I want version 6.2, or I want to use this database or not. So this is why we create the Yeoman generator. That was our second move forward. And finally, we found that that includes a lot of dependencies, because you need Yeoman, you need NPM, you need a lot of different things. So we wrap everything inside a Docker image. So the only dependency you have is Docker, and you are going to produce Docker, you are using Docker. It makes sense. So let's move on to it. So the first one is a Python generator. Remember that you have always the source code available for these projects. It's on the link up on the right. The slides will be available online, so you can have all the links, so no problem for that. And in this case, we wanted to create something that is designed to be part of the testing pipeline of this specific service, for this search service. So this service required some other services, and we were creating this one in order to produce different Docker configuration for different use cases. So we were inventing some templates. You can see this one with some expressions, some replacement expressions like this solar host. And we were also using our imagination. When we don't have a variable, we were adding something like populated. I will populate that later. So that was started by my colleague, Tom Page, but we were also evolving that with the time. So it was fine. So we were able to create with a single command, Python generator, with the different parameters. So I want to deploy Alfresco 6.0 with the transformation engine AIO transformers. And that was producing the Docker assets for that. That was automatic, and it only required Python and this PyJam module. So it was even fast. But when we want to move to the user interaction, yes, continuing that development in Python, it was like not the best choice, because you know that we have this Yeoman generator that is providing all the user interaction. So it's providing by default the user interaction, and it has also a template language. So you can add your expressions to the templates, and you can also get the user interaction. So that's fine, and that was designed to deploy the full stack, not only the search services and the related services, but the full stack, and giving the user, interaction. So the templates are based in Yeoman, so you can see more or less the same thing, but now we have also conditions. So we can use conditions on the information that was typed by the user. We have also some replacement, but this gives us like the ability to create more complex deployments, or just to create something that is considering more use cases. In this case, there are many different contributors to the project. So this is a project that is very used for in the Alfresco community. And again, you have the link if you want to explore how that is done. So it's more or less the same thing. We can use a command invocation with parameters. So we are also supporting the previous use case. So you can just create everything only using parameters. Or you can reply to interactive prompts. And these interactive prompts, we are going to see that later. So we can select different versions. We can type a new value. We can also reply to a Boolean question, yes or no. Or we can even have a multiple choice. If we want to deploy more than one module, then we have also the multiple choice in that. So it looks pretty good, because we are able also to create different things with both approaches. So on the version 2 of this one, because in the end, these templates were like too complex. So we have many conditionals, we have many different sections of the code, and in the end we have like, I don't know, 800 lines of template. That was a mess. So this is why on the second iteration of the same project, we invented the include directive. You know that Docker Compose is supporting include on the latest release. So we were doing more or less the same thing, but had many. We had some comments on the original file, and then we have the partial declaration of the service in another file. So we are just, if you want to use the search service, I'm replacing this one by the actual configuration of the service. So with that, the templates were easier to read. So this was our second version. And as we found that some people found just problems to install Yeoman, NPM, and all the stuff, what we did is to wrap everything inside a Docker image. That makes sense. So you don't need to take care of that requirements. So it's exactly the same thing, but we have all the Yeoman, NPM, Node, and so on inside Docker. So you got all the benefits from the previous approaches, and you have also no requirements. So we think that we achieve this frictionless goal. So with that solutions, we have something that is able to be attached to a pipeline that allows also user interaction when you want to allow that, and that is frictionless. So it was nice. I'm going to show you a small demo on this, just for you to, but you can, again, you can play with that by using the product. So this is the Alfresco Enterprise Docker. Is one of the projects. I need to have installed the NPM, the Yeoman. Okay, so this is the requirement. And if I type yo Alfresco Enterprise Docker with no arguments, then I have the prompts. So I can choose a version of the Alfresco deployment, like 7.3. I can use between different transform services. For instance, this one. I can choose between different search services. I can also choose to deploy or not an application. And the same thing for this application, or another application, another service that I can use or not. And with that, we are creating the assets. So we have the Docker Compose created with all the services I need and with the right configuration for each one. And as you can see, we have also these unreplaced comments that are part of the that handmade include mechanism. Okay, that was fine. We were happy with it, more or less. But at that time, Docker Init came. At that time, well, after 5 years of using that, then we have this Docker Init. So what is Docker Init? Docker Init it's available from Docker Desktop 4.18. Currently is still in beta status, and it's more or less the same thing we were seeing before. So you type Docker Init, and this will be producing the Docker assets for you. But in this case, it's oriented to applications, to a single application that needs to create this Docker image file and be composed for deployment. So initially, we have this Go, Node, Python, Rust, and ASP.NET, so you can create the Docker assets for projects using this kind of technologies. It's mainly oriented to services, so they are not like command line applications. So they are expecting to have a service there. And if you want something new, you have this let us know link. So you can ask for new technology support or product support to Docker. You have the official documentation. By now, this is closed source code. Despite this is a part of the Docker CLI project, by now it's still closed source code. I don't know if that will be open in the future, to be honest, but I hope so. So on the Docker roadmap, if you know this page, they are accepting your recommendation, your request. And for the Docker Init currently, we have this optional port. We have also upcoming more support for different stacks like Java or PHP. And we have also the Docker Init, that is the one we have. And there is also that custom template support. So this is exactly what we are going to see later, right? To create custom templates to that initial catalog that is quite small. It's only creating applications for a technology. So we want to go further with that. I don't know who tried Docker Init before this. No one? Okay, so let's make again a test. Okay, so I have, I'm going to use the Node.js deployment. So I have a small Node.js application. So I have a server, the pretty hello world Backjs stuff, that is a server that is listening on port 8080 and just returning this hello world. If I type Docker Init, that is available by default, we can see that it's detecting the language we have. So we are doing that from the project itself. So it's detecting that we have npm node, so we can choose that. And after that, I'm going to get some questions, like the version of Node I want to use, the backup manager I want to use is detecting npm, and what command line I want to use to start. So in my case, node server EAS, but you can use also npm start if you want, but I prefer to use this one. And the port was 8080. So with that, we have these 3 Docker assets created for us. We have the first one, the Docker ignore. So it's the local folders, the local files that I don't want to add to the Docker image for the building process. We have the Docker file, that is the description for the build of the Docker image. And finally, I have also the compose YAML. You know that last year, I guess, they changed this convention. So Docker / compose .iml has been changed to compose.yaml. So you are creating something new, you can use this new convention name. And inside that, we have all the ignoring information. So for Go, mainly we are not going to use the node modules folder. And we have also the Docker file that includes best practices. So we have the first, that is the building, okay. So we have no building in this case. Okay, if you were doing something that is not compiled, as in this case, then you have like the building layer and then the running layer. And you can copy the resources from the building to the running layer, but you have also some basic stuff like not running the Docker image with the root user. So we are creating a new user and we are using that user in order to start the service. And finally, just starting the service. And we have also this compose YAML file that is including this server, okay? So we have like everything ready. And with that, we can also just use, they are giving you some, okay, let's say when you are ready, just type Docker Compose app build, and then your service will be available. So they are giving also instructions on how to use that. So Docker Compose app build, we are expecting to have a running web server on localhost 8080. And if we, so just coming a bit back, you have all the source code on the GitHub, right? Just for you to know. So if that worked, what we have on the localhost 8080 is the hello world message. So it's working fine. I have an application. I can use the Docker Init to create all these Docker assets. They are applying best practices, and it's working. So that's fine, but we want more than that. So, and we need more than that. So we are moving to the final iteration. Let me stop the container, because if I start, okay, thanks. Okay, so let's move to the next one, to the after. So now that we are able to code like crazy Bigfoots, it's because we can create Docker with templates. So we can create our own templates in order to use this Docker Init command. And obviously, we want that to be attached to a pipeline. We want user interaction, and we want that to be frictionless. So for that, I create a sample project. You also have the project in GitHub, all the source code. It's a project developing Go. It's using exactly this. I didn't create a Docker CLI plugin because this source code is just for testing purposes. It's not oriented to production usage, right? But it's using exactly the same technology as if you were using a Docker CLI plugin. So we are using the same CLI interaction package, that is Cobra for Docker. We are using prompt definition with YAML, so we want to define all these prompts we have. We are using default Go template in order to build the templates and all the expressions. And we are also using an external expression evaluator for this kind of conditions we need to add. So the client interaction is just the same, so Docker Init, but in this case, in addition to that Docker Init, we have some parameters because we want that to be also attached to a pipeline. So we want to get all the parameters. On the parameters, we have the template. So the name of the template to be used because we can have a catalog of templates. So we go to the previous use case, to the Docker Init default. We can say use the Node.js template. But we have also some, we can add also the value of the prompts. We are supporting also external templates, not only templates that are offered by default. When we type Docker Init, there is no local file on my machine. It's inside the Docker CLI program. In this case, we have also default templates, but you can just create your local templates and use a local directory in order to provide this template to the program. And finally, we have an output directory to write all the Docker assets. We have also some other command, some subcommand that is the catalog. So imagine that you want to use that, but you don't know what templates are available, or you don't know what prompts the template is expecting. So this is why you have this Docker Init catalog command. So you can say, okay, give me all your templates available, so Alfresco and so on, and I want to use the Alfresco template, so give me the prompts I need to use. So on the right, you can see a prompts YAM file, that is the one defining the prompts. And you can use also this with the templates that are included with the Docker Init program or with external templates. So with that, we have a way to create Docker assets based on templates. And if you want to try that, we are going to see today 2 different templates, but obviously you can try by your own. So you just need to define a folder. The name doesn't need to be templates. I'm using samples later, but you need a name. Then you need a subfolder with the template name, like Alfresco. And then inside that, you need to define one required file, that is the prompts YALM file, is more or less this file. That is including your prompts, okay? And then you can add everything you want, always that the suffix of the file is TPL, to declare that that is a template file. So with that, in this case, we have, for instance, templates. Then we have the template name, that is the root folder. Then we can also, I recommend you to create instructions in order to run the project. So you can create a customized README, because you have conditions. So if you're including one service or the other, you can also add that to the README. You have Docker images like Docker files. You can include source code, Docker Compose files, and the only that is required is the prompts definition. Okay? Great, that's nice. And the prompt definition, this is the syntax that I invented. Obviously, we can evolve that. And this is based on Alec Ivais's module for Go. That is this survey module that is allowing us to create these different prompts. So we have, again, this select. So we declare that the identifier is volumes. The label we are going to show to the user is volume method. And we have some options: known, native, or bind. We can also use a value prompt. So what is the name of the server? We can provide also a default value just to help the user. We have also a password just to include asterisk instead of the actual typing. We have also multiple choice. So it's the same thing, but with this multiple true, you can choose more than one from the list. And finally, we have Boolean yes or no prompts. So just remember to, if you have some Go knowledge and if you want to use this module, just help this guy, because he is a bit busy and he's not maintaining the project anymore. So the project needs some love. So if you have that, just please help this guy, because the project is really nice. So you can see that we are building many different prompts with zero effort. So just try help them. And finally, what we need also to define is the syntax for the templates. So we need to use that TPL extension. We can use also expressions with the values. So if we go back, so for instance, if we have volumes and the selection is native, we can use this native volumes equals to native syntax inside the template. That is handy. And there is one rule that it was fine for me. I don't know if that is really something too generic, but if the template is evaluated to 0 bytes, then I'm removing the stuff. Okay, we have conditional blocks. So this one is just using this legacy UI prompt ID with the value yes. If that happens, then I'm adding this block. And also I can add values from the prompts with that syntax. But this is a standard syntax. So this is from the text template package of Go, of default Go. So you have many different options in order to compose your templates. So you can check like all the information there. And I know that this is very, very hard to understand without touching it. So we are going to touch that. So again, remember that you have the project available, right? Docker Init with templates is a Go project. You have also the instructions and so on. And we are going to play with 2 different templates. So the first one is an external template folder. So this samples folder is not included in the Go program, but I'm including that in the repository for you to use. So this is like the classic engines Golang DB sample that is just creating a Go program with Postgres or MariaDB. So for that, as I said, we have the prompts, so we can define the prompts. So in this case, I have only one prompt, that is the database. Choose the database, Postgres or MariaDB, and then I have the compose file. So in this compose file, I have a condition in order to add the MariaDB configuration or in order to add the Postgres configuration, the Postgres service, to declare the Postgres service into the compose. And we have also some other files, but we can even have conditions on the source code. Why not? So we can also use that as a template, and we can add conditions. So if the database is MariaDB, I run this SQL command. If that is PostgreSQL, I'm running this other SQL command. So that's, and I was just trying to experiment, you know. It can be easier than that. But you can add every file with the templates expression on it. And also, obviously, the Docker file, if you want. And again, and I think that is pretty interesting. So we can generate a readme that is providing the right instructions. So in this case, so yeah, we have, let me find that. For instance, this. So we can say if the database is MariaDB, then this line, or if not, that. So you get your instructions also for what you need. So let's move to this one. So you can download the program. So the program is available, the compiled, the binary is available on releases. So this is my latest release. I'm not a Golang developer, skill developer, so just bear with my source code. Don't use that as reference for nothing. But you can use this compiled program, the binary. So I have this binary on my machine. I rename it as fake Docker, just not to have any legal implication. And I have also a local folder that is the sample folder, okay? That is exactly the templates and the prompts definition. So with that, we can just say fake Docker init. If we say catalog, then that is only providing the templates that are on the binary, that is Alfresco by default. But if I add the samples, the local samples folder, then I have also Alfresco and engines Golang DB. And if I want to get into details of the template, then I can also ask for details. So I know that I need a database parameter with allowed values of Postgre or MariaDB. And if finally, if we want to create the assets for that, we can say, oh, sorry, fake Docker. We can say fake Docker init. We have all the prompts, all the parameters. We need to add the samples directory because I'm going to use a template that is on a local folder, and I can choose also the one I want to use, that is the engines Golang DB. So just with that, I need to choose Postgre or MariaDB. I'm choosing that. And we have the result. So we have the result with only the configuration attached to Postgres. And if we run that, believe me, it works. And it's also it's showing the Postgre configuration. So you can see that this, for instance, this template of the README is only containing Postgre information. Okay? So that's fine, that's easy. Well, we have a very easy sample for that. So you can create your own, because you just need to define your prompts to apply these expressions to your templates, and it's done. But if we move to something a bit more complex, that was the thing I was trying to solve for myself in a selfish way, we can go to the template for Alfresco that has many different services and many different files involved. So for that, what I applied is the Docker include directive, the Docker Compose include directive. So that allows me to have a list of services that I can switch or I can remove when I need that because of the configuration. So do you know that Docker Compose include directive? That is also new. Who play with that? No one? So it's as simple as to define the compose YAM individually. Well, you can use more than one service, but I'm using that for an individual service. So I have this proxy compose YAM that includes only the information of the proxy. Or I have this legacy UI that includes only this information. And when I create a list with all of them, that is like creating a single compose YAM file with all the services. But this allows me some nice features like this one. So I'm only going to include the messaging service if you choose to deploy the messaging service. And if not, I can ignore that. Okay? So I'm combining like new technologies. And also in this case, the prompts are more complex. So we are going to see that, but so we have conditions also, that I guess that I didn't explain conditions. So if you choose to deploy the messaging service, then I'm going to ask you if you want credentials for the service. If you are not deploying messaging services, I'm not going to use this prompt. And the same thing for the next one, right? So you can define conditions on the prompt. And you can also have this one, sorry, the latest one, where you can choose more than one option to choose. Okay, but again, we can go back to this. And we can fake Docker Init. In this case, as this template is inside the binary, I just don't need the external folder. So I say Docker Init Alfresco. The first thing, as I said, we have many different versions, so I'm going to try with version 7.3. Then the database, I'm including only 2, but we are supporting 5 or 6 different database engines. We are going to deploy Postgres. And what do you want, using or not the messaging service? Yes? Okay, let's do that, but without credentials. Okay, you see that without credentials, yes, the next prompt that was just give me the credentials has been removed. And then do you want to use the legacy UI? No, that's fine. Which container volume method do you want to use? Native. The name of the server with a default value. If I hit enter, then the value will be localhost. And I can choose more than one add-on. So with that, I have all the Docker assets created, and I have also a customized README that includes all the different options I choose. So as you were using the messaging service, I can give you the endpoint for the messaging service. If you are not selecting that, I can exclude that. And just as a final test, let's try it to see if that works. So I'm not only producing Docker assets, but I'm producing the expected Docker assets, right? This is what I'm testing. So okay, so this is starting all the many different services that we use in Alfresco. And after a time, I can get Alfresco up and running, and I can see that this configuration, it's fine. So here we go. Okay, so we have Alfresco running with all the options we choose. Great. Okay, so that was everything for today. We have like the things we were doing before, the things we can do with the Docker Init now, and the things we can do with an extension, with more features of the Docker Init command. So I recommend you to make some noise, because this was my use case, and I was solving my use case in a self-feed way. But if you have some other requirements, just write an issue on the Docker CLI project, and Docker will try to consider your request or just to create something that helps you with it. Okay, so is there some question on the room? Do you have some question? Can you please use the mic? Thanks.
So I was wondering how you deal with ongoing maintenance after you've set it up.
Can you speak louder, please?
Sure. So I was wondering how you deal with ongoing maintenance after you've set it up. So like this looks like a really good tool for the initial creation of the project with the various Docker Compose files and so on. But what if you want to, in the future, make a modification? You want to add a new service, you want to change a version of something, or let's say you found a problem in your initial templates and you want to fix that in projects you've already used Docker Init to create.
Yeah, nice question. The first thing is this is not oriented for production. Just please don't use that in a production environment. But I guess that this is why we have versions. So I'm creating versions of the default templates, and you can create also versions of your templates. So a nice addition would be to add the version to the template. So the project is open, pull requests are welcome. So if you want to do that, I will be more than happy to get that contribution. I don't know if I'm going to maintain this project in the future, because it was created for the DockerCon as a sample. But if we find it useful, I will be joining to that to grow this till Docker say, okay, no more. I'm going to add that to the product. You are always making noise. This is why I say that we need to make noise. Okay, something else? Okay, so that was all. I hope that was useful for you. And just if you want to contact me in the conference, I will be happy to help you with this or with some other thing you need. Thanks.